3:02. We'll just start and say about 5 minutes now. After all, we are all Indians. Yeah, let's give 3 minutes more. Yeah, 3:05 will start. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone who are participating in this webinar. I welcome you all on behalf of NCERT and CIT. I'm Srinivasan. I work in NCERT since 2002. I work in a department called Department of Education in Social Sciences in NCERT. You know that the NCERT is the national organization, an autonomous organization in India, which develops syllabus, textbook, curriculum framework for India since 1960s. We have got credibility as a the topmost curriculum developer in India, and also model syllabus maker and textbook developers. You know that in India we have revised or we have developed syllabus and textbooks during last say 60 years 4 times: 1976, 1988, 2000, and 2005. You know that during the last about 20 days before, the government of India has come out with the National Education Policy 2020, and this is going to be a major change maker or a trendsetter for a new system of school education 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. I'm sure you must be reading in the newspaper about what kind of changes that are envisaged in different levels of education, including school education. And to be specific, if I talk about directly issues like at the secondary level, the new education policy, national education policy suggests that we should have a multiple entry and exit points and the flexible syllabus and examination systems. And children should be given options to choose the courses from class 9 onwards. And that means the 9, 10, 11, 12 need to be seen as a composite level rather than looking at from 9, 10 separately, 11, 12 separately. So in this context, the national policy also hinted at that we need to align our syllabus and textbooks and the curricular practices to help children to acquire 21st century skills. So, so when we discussed these issues in a small group of curriculum developers and text teachers in my WhatsApp, then we come to know that this issue needs a wider debate and discussion and participation. So Ambika Gulati is a principal in the Millennium School, Dubai, known to NCERT for more than almost 10-15 years. I still remember when she came here that, oh, I quit my corporate job and joined as a teacher. I got really puzzled actually. How come a corporate job is less respectful than a teacher job? So I was really surprised. However, she has proved herself as one of the most favorite teachers in Sanskrit school, and she has been an author also. She was a reviewer of our textbooks at the higher secondary level, and she worked with CBSE. I'm sure many of you must be participating in her workshops. And she came forward that I would like to take a interactive webinar. So immediately I accepted, and though I delayed for a few days due to my own other commitments. So this is the background of this webinar, and we would like to know, learn from Ambika how she has been teaching economics. So whenever I go to training or any professional development exercise, teacher used to share how they teach. That becomes a major tool for changes in the curriculum, changes in the classroom practices. So today we are going to explore, unravel the Ambika's successful career as an economics teacher. And particularly when we are talking about 21st century skills, we are all like wondering, what is this? What is this 21st century skill? Is it coming for the first time? And so we'd like to learn from Ambika, and let us listen to her presentation. And please note that almost about 300 people, 250 people have registered for this webinar. It's a very large set of people. So please take out your notebook, and whenever you have any doubt or issues, write them down. And Google has one limitation that we cannot share the ideas individually. So two is that after her presentation is over, Ambika, will that be okay if we have some about 30-40 minutes presentation followed by the interaction?
Sure. A lot of the presentation is interactive in any case.
Yeah. So what would happen that like whatever she wants to complete a particular batch of issues, she will speak, and then whenever she asks you to participate, you can participate in two ways. One by sharing in the chat whatever the issues or whatever answer she is expecting from you. Like I still remember when we do it our own live sessions, we used to ask true or false questions. So invariably children will get engaged and say the true, false, like that. I don't know whether she's saying true or false questions. And so please take down your pen, and in case you have any issues, you can just write them down. And then if you think that you want to talk or you want to share something for her question, you can also raise your voice, raise your hand, and then speak actually. Okay, and I will since this is the mechanism which works with the hierarchy. All the speakers are please keep them like mute. Okay, when you want, you can just unmute. I'm not going to touch anything in the screen. So like typically like somebody will be unmuting something. So you yourself can unmute and speak, but one person at a time. I'm sure it must be clear if you are in our position also that we want to learn from all of us together. So if it is a collective enterprise of learning from each other, better one person at a time would be better. And it's also much more better. Please share your views in the chat box. And if you're having any feedback, any comments, any suggestions, you received all the invitations from a particular email account, you can write to that email account. In the end of this presentation, I'm going to give my WhatsApp group number also. You can share the views there also. Okay, and sure, some of you are your audio is not clear. It's also possible that let me try, like from our side, both the my side and the Glothi side. If the audio is not clear, please just write it in this chat box. We'll try to clear from our side. Otherwise, it may come from your own phone or your computer also, or your iPad also. Please try to set them down. Okay, so can we start presentation? My dear participants, can I request Ambika Gulati to make a presentation?
Yes, sir.
Some more? Yes, because we are in generally
Yes, sir.
setting. Okay. So
Yes, we are waiting for that. Yes, we are waiting.
Okay, thank you very much. I also thank the Millennium School for encouraging Ambika Gulati to make this opportunity, to share with us our views, all our secrets today. And this is the beginning of our webinar series. This is the first one, and there will be a series of webinars. And if you are having a very creative idea and you want to participate and present your webinar, you are all welcome. You can mail me, you can share with your ideas, and then we can see, we can organize among the economics fraternity to share more and more ideas on this. Okay, we want to make our economics classroom less boring, more exciting, more actively participation. So thank you very much, and let me invite Ambika Gulati to make a presentation. Kindly unmute, mute. Yeah. And
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Srinivasan. Like Srinivasan mentioned, we go a long way. When I was in India at the Sanskriti school, and thank you, I can see lots of prior colleagues present at this webinar. I can see people I have worked with at CBSE, in the economics course committee, and of course with NCERT. So thank you, Srinivasan, for permitting me and giving me this opportunity to really share what has been my personal journey. And these are my beliefs, my journey, and my learnings from the years of teaching economics, which I try and continue to do even here being a principal. So thank you. Really, I'm still in the process of learning. Nothing has, we can't say that we have learned it all. And I really want to thank everyone who's present here today for sharing and sparing their time to be with us. The success of this particular presentation or the webinar really is going to be if we engage and interact with each other. I have some tools to do that, and in the latter part of the slideshow, you will see that a lot of activity will be done on the chat box. So it will be interesting to comment on what we are doing and share our views, because that's the whole idea. I would like to learn from you as much as I'm not here to teach anybody, but just to share my own experiences as I've gone along with the various organizations that I have worked with, whether it was Sanskriti in Delhi or whether it was being associated with CBSE or NCERT or with the National Institute of Open Schooling. So the idea is that, embedding 21st century skills, how do we do it? Why is it important? And that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing I would really like you to look at is I'm putting this particular link in the chat box. And if I can request you all to go into this Padlet to answer this particular question. So we'll spend 2 to 3 minutes just answering this particular question. And I'm going to try and upload that screen so that we can see people's comments and what they are saying. And I would encourage you to comment on each other's posts. If you like something, you can give them a star so that we see what people are saying. So 2 to 3 minutes to write what you perceive is your role as a teacher of economics. So we see people have started commenting and giving their views. It is to impart the conceptual knowledge and understanding, I'm assuming, of the syllabus, because that's an incomplete statement. It is to facilitate learning. We've got Shalini saying that we have to engage learners in a productive way. We've got Vrinda talk about as a teacher to facilitate learning. Again, to relate economic concepts with real happenings is what Supraja talks about, to enhance students' understanding of recent economic scenarios is something that somebody has mentioned. To make students face the real world through realistic approaches. What is going on around us, how it affects us, what these mean in our everyday life, in the real world connections. What does it mean when we listen to the news? As a teacher, I want to facilitate their analytical and interpretation skills and connect it to real life scenarios. Students are learners, and I feel that they need to apply what they learn in the everyday life. We've got Rupali saying that I emphasize on the building the ability of students to be more aware of current scenarios and current economic happenings. Okay, thanks, Rupali. We'll wait 1 more minute to see if others wish to add any comments. If you like something that somebody has written, do rate it, do give your comment onto it. We have another one to say to merge the theoretical concepts with real world so that students and we as teachers also develop our brain holistically and work upon decision making. Fill the gap between actual and desirable for facilitating student learning. Thank you for that, Supriya. To widen the knowledge about current economic challenges and solutions. Great. So we have, and I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to try and share the presentation now. You will have to give me some time to be able to move between screens. And really, that brings us to the reason why we are here and why 21st century skills and why is it so important. And I'd like to reflect and dwell on that a little bit. And that's really because today we are in what we call a VUCA world. And VUCA is really standing for volatility, because we are in a very unstable world which is changing very rapidly. And it's uncertain because it's unstable. There's difficult to anticipate what and how the world is going to change pretty much on a day-to-day basis, which the pandemic has shown us, but also because of the disruptive technologies and the exponential technologies that we are facing, whether it is AI or others. So, and because of this, the world has become very, very complex. There are different layers of cause and effect that actually we need to unravel to be able to make meaning of what the world is all about. And the last A talks about ambiguity, that, you know, in the industrial age, it was about one size fits all. The same thing that we did for across all children or across all people was seemed to be the norm. But that is something that is changing very rapidly. And, you know, we've taken the iceberg, because what we see is a fragile world up there, which is a VUCA world. But as teachers, because I firmly believe as teachers, we are leaders of change in our respective classrooms, we can then make it from a fragile to an agile world by the vision that we have for our children and what is the pedagogical vision that we have. And we can do that through a deep understanding of those practices and what is it that we want them to achieve. And that was why I said, what is your role as a teacher of economics? Do we have clarity about that? Do we have a pathway where we know what we want our children to, where we want them to be, and how we want them to, you know, grow as human beings? And I think the pandemic has taught us that we as schools, we as teachers, we as students, and not to forget the parents, have to be agile, have to be adaptable, and change rapidly with, you know, the changing needs. And many of us have seen that every day it has been a new day, a different scenario that was not anticipated earlier. And planning really is not working out because the scenario is changing very, very rapidly. Everything is not black and white, especially when we are working with children, because every batch, we know every child in our classroom is different and the needs have to be addressed differently. So because we are working in a VUCA world, there is an importance to develop 21st century skills. There's also, which I've hinted to and alluded to, is the fact that we are now in the fourth industrial revolution. We know that we are currently working with children and preparing them for a life beyond, where we don't know what kind of jobs are going to exist in the future. We do not know what kind of problems they will be facing to solve. There is no certainty of what technology will look like because it is changing so rapidly. Because, like I mentioned, there are disruptive and exponential technologies that are allowing us to have this webinar, you know, across nations, across countries. So if we look at a kindergarten child today who gets admitted to school in 2020, they will leave school in 2034. And we really don't know in a span of 14 years what the world would look like. Till 14 months ago, nobody had heard of a coronavirus or COVID-19. So the world is changing so rapidly. And again, we need to build these skills for our children to be able to adjust to these new environments. And like Srinivasan mentioned, I think the real critical factor for the national education policy of, of the country to focus on the building of 21st century skills in our students, it's brought it to the forefront. It is saying that they are very, very important. And I really like this line in para 4.6 of the national education policy, which says, move away from a culture of rote learning as it is present today. And the goal will be to create holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with key 21st century skills. I mean, the policy has put it in black and white that we cannot now shy away from actually developing and inculcating these skill sets in our children. And the focus really has to be on competency-based learning rather than content-based learning, which we have been practicing through our educational system. So this actually sets the tone and the rationale as to why we really need to focus on 21st century skills. And the first time the policy has, brought in the 21st century skills. So very, very significant contribution there towards developing these skills. I would request you now to go to menti.com, and I'm going to try and put this particular link on the chat box again. So you could just go to menti.com and use that code and tell me, what is it? List out some 21st century skills that you would be wanting your children to develop. And I'm going to try and pull up that screen now so that we can all see how it comes up. Are you able to see the Menti screen on your laptops? If someone can confirm.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Great. So
Yes,
up
ma'am,
to
we can.
5 skills. Thank you. Up to 5 skills, if you can put, that you would like your children to develop, or what you believe are 21st century skills. And as you keep putting them together, we will build a word cloud. So we got 7 people responding. Maybe we'll give it another 2 minutes. If I can request everyone to mute their mics, please, because there seems to be an echo. And that's a lovely word cloud that is developing. So 23 people have responded. If we can just half a minute more. Okay, so let's look at the word cloud that we have, and the writing which you see, which is big, is what most people have written. And you will see that you've got critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, collaboration, problem solving skills, divergent thinking, communication, coming out very, very large and prominently in this word cloud. So those are the 21st century skills that we are looking at. But I would like to share with you what the OECD has developed as a list of the 21st century skills, and this was done way back in 2008. And if you will see, there are 3 buckets in which they put these skills. One is learning and innovation skills, which is what most of us wrote on that word cloud, whether it's critical thinking and problem solving, whether it's creativity and innovation, collaboration, communication, those become the learning skills and innovation skills for children. There are also information, media, and technology skills that the OECD has identified, which is information literacy. Whereas, where are we building skills in children to be able to evaluate information? Are they able to locate information? Are they able to analyze information to support their arguments? So are we building those skills in them? Are we building media literacy in our children? And today's day and age of social media, where our teenagers, and especially the age group that we teach as economics teachers, are we building the skills for them to be able to discern between good social media and bad social media? How can we protect them? How can we keep them safe on the social media platforms? And this is a responsibility that we all have, not just a class teacher of the school. And are we looking, and are they able to discern between appropriate print media or video media or internet media? So, different sorts of media that they are exposed to, are they able to again interpret and analyze what is good news, or what is fake news? Are we building those skills in our children? And of course, something that we all do across the schools, and especially in this time of pandemic, is the ICT literacy. We've all had to move into the digital platform, and I think our children and especially our teachers have moved and learned so much in the last 6 months. Kudos to the entire teacher fraternity for the kind of steps that everyone has taken. And then they've got the third bracket and the third bucket, which talks about life and career skills. And are we developing adaptability and flexibility? Remember, we talked about the VUCA world. So we need to bring in leadership, responsibilities, social and cross-cultural skills, because now more and more classrooms are becoming diverse because of globalization and migration. The population is changing. And in India, we have, the Right to Education Act, and we've got children from marginalized backgrounds in our classrooms. So how do we actually work with all these diverse cultural and socioeconomic conditions in the classroom? So the focus, and that has been something that has guided me through my journey of being a teacher and now being a head of a school, that let us focus on skill development. And skills don't and cannot be taught in isolation. They need some kind of content. So if you're teaching your child to communicate, you need some content through which either they will debate or they will dialogue or they will do a role play. And let that content be the core subject. And can you see OECD talks about the same thing? So whether it is English or math or science or economics, we need the content which will be underlying those skills. So focus has to be on skill development, but the underlying content will be our subject, which is economics. And they also talk about 21st century themes. And one of the 21st century themes you would be delighted to know is that it's about building financial, economic, business, and entrepreneurial literacy in our children. So actually our subject is in the forefront, that we need to use the themes of economics to be able to build those skills. And we need to turtle turn it. And this is something that has guided me, that what are the skills that we want to build, and therefore use the economics content to build those skills in our children. So how do we really embed these skills and in our everyday teaching and learning? The first, and this I really liked when I was trying to see how best to actually project the idea that I wanted to, which is change of mindset. Many times in the past when I have taken workshops, even as late as yesterday, I was at a CBSE workshop on economics, and somebody said, it's all very good what you're saying, but it's not possible to do what you're saying because time is a huge constraint and time is insufficient, and we need to do a syllabus in a stipulated time. And I know my colleagues are here from various schools that I've been at, whether it's Millennium or Sanskriti, and they would tell you that it is very, very possible, because all we need is a growth mindset. We need to now personalize learning for our children. One size fits all does not work in a classroom. We have to begin to trust our children's capabilities to learn on their own. We need to move from a teacher-centric classroom to a student-centric classroom. And when we set the expectations for our children, they do deliver on these expectations. And we need to not have any more passive learners. We need to have engaged and active learners. So there is a whole mindset change that we as teachers need to have. And that is something that has happened for me in the past. So that's, I think, the biggest factor to be bringing out that change, that how do we embed 21st century skills? First, we have to be convinced, yes, they are important. And yes, as an educator of economics, I can develop these in my regular class, despite the course that I have to teach and the content that I need to be teaching. And for this, we need a roadmap, and we need a plan, and we need a plan of action. And yes, we will take some diversions and we will get detoured, but we will come back to the plan. And this is where this is how I see my lesson planning. But before I go into that, we need to shift the mindset. That we need to shift is from a traditional classroom to a flipped classroom, is what we are working on very, very diligently at school here. And I'd like to share that, because if you notice in this particular cartoon or the infographic that I have taken, have a look and see where the teacher is placed. Sorry, I'm just going to look here. See where the teacher is with respect to the children. In the front, dominating the learning. And at home, you are doing your activity all alone. When we move into a flipped classroom, it becomes the other way around. You do your learning at home. You engage with the content at home. And then you come to the classroom and you collaborate and you discuss with your children. Please see where the teacher is now. She is outside. She is not dominating the classroom. She is now being a facilitator, something that many of you wrote that that's your role as an economics teacher, to facilitate learning. Now that facilitation of learning will happen only when we move away from a lecture method. And the lecture we give to them at home to do that and read and pre-read and come. And remember, we are preparing children who are going to be joining college or university in 2 years from the time they enter grade 11. And hence, it's important that we start teaching them the skills that they will be using at university, where they need to read and come to class, and there is a discussion in class, and hence we will start building that skill set for them in this particular pedagogical approach. And what we do is we turtle turn Bloom's taxonomy. So all the remembering and understanding, which we currently, many of us, including me, you used to do in classroom, that, we are going to teach them and I have to teach them this concept. And then when we set them the assignment at home, they will apply and analyze. We turtle turn it. So the remembering and understanding, the simple things they do at home, but they do the more difficult things with us in the classroom. And that's how we then build the skills through the tasks that we actually create and design very meaningfully for children to be able to, consolidate their learning or their concepts that they have read at home. And I'm going to take a minute to actually show you this in terms of the elements of a lesson plan. Yes, we all have some specific learning outcomes that we want our children to achieve. I'm not going into these, but really, if we look at this bracket here, we need to think about what skills and values we want the economics class to actually embed, or we want them to learn. and what interdisciplinary linkages we want to make, which is something very simple for our subject, along with real life applications, then keeping these three things in mind, we can design the task. So the task is fed because of these considerations that we are making. And with this, the underlying factor, remember, is the content that we want to teach, whether it is micro or macro, or whether it is, stats, or whether it is the Indian economics. So the task will help to consolidate the learning of that content. And the flow of a lesson for you when you do try and embed 21st century skills in the classroom would be somewhat like this if you're looking at the flipped model, because the children would have read something, they would have watched a video, they would have done a PowerPoint presentation, and here I've talked about net indirect access, just to give you an example. And then when they come to class, you would have designed a very meaningful lesson where they will do a starter, they will do tasks through which they will develop the 21st century skills. And then you give them the support. If you remember my flipped diagram, the infographic, the teacher is outside the group, and the teacher moves from group to check whether they are actually at pace with the learning that they have. And then, of course, the learning has to be individual, because we still have, unless our assessment structures don't change at the school leaving, they still need to write that school leaving examination. So have they understood the concept? And that is where the assessment will come in, which will help you to analyze whether you need to revisit the concept or take the lesson forward. And that also doesn't need to be only a pen and paper test, and I'll share what we do with you. So that's really been the journey and the thinking that I have had. And I have taken tasks largely from microeconomics, which I'm going to now be sharing with you, so that, and I need everybody in the chat box to go back. Before I go, I want you all to please take a photograph of this slide, because now for the rest of the 10 or 15 minutes that we are going to engage with, I would like you to use this as a base to kind of answer what every task is looking to actually develop. What skill set are we trying to develop for our children? And for me, I have to share a personal story here. I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, when teaching indifference curve analysis meant that the children will not understand, or my students would not understand indifference curve analysis till I had not taught them in a lecture method about the properties and what it is and what is MRS. I felt they will never understand it because it is so technical. How can they understand it without my inputs? But a couple of years ago, when I experimented by doing a flipped classroom with them, I was shocked, and they proved me wrong, because they could do it without me, and they just needed me to facilitate that thinking and spark their thought process in the right direction, and they went away. So children, that is why I made the comment that we need to trust our children's capabilities of learning, and if we do, then they fly with that. So let's look at this. That's the first task that you could possibly give your children, which says pre-read and come in. And then you give them a learning menu, and you divide the children into 4 or 5. So you've given them, and here I've taken the example of producer's equilibrium for you. If you divide your groups into 4 to 5 students, and you say, okay, choose one of these. You can either show me your learning through a chat show or a mind map or a song or a newspaper article. And this is the content I want you to cover. What do you mean by producer's equilibrium? What are the conditions for it? Show me what cross-curricular linkages have you put into it, and what is the real-life application. So if this is the task that has been designed by you for children who have read about producer's equilibrium, and then they come to class, look at your photograph of the 21st century skills that OECD wants our children to actually learn and develop. And in the chat box, if I can request you to write down which skills are being developed. So we are going to spend 2 minutes or a minute if people can write. So someone's talking about critical thinking. Okay. Collaboration. Excellent. We're talking about communication. Creativity. Brilliant. Decision making. Media literacy. Not so sure about media literacy because they're not engaging with media, but they're creating the media. ICT, making judgments and decisions. Songwriting is innovative and creative. Absolutely. So can you see, by giving them that learning menu, you are actually going ahead with your course, but you are developing and strengthening 21st century skills that are required to be developed in our students. And most importantly, when you give them a learning menu, you are providing them with choice. You're providing them and telling them that you have the right to choose the way you want to learn. Because if you see in that learning menu, there is song, there is something that is to do with audio, for auditory learners, there is something to do with visual learners, there is something for kinesthetic learners. So reading, writing, and presenting. So everybody can see and choose what they are most comfortable with. Why must they all have to learn through a lecture method? It doesn't work. So we go back, and that's right. So in that task, you have done this. Let's flip the slide now. And I'm going to, now the rest of the presentation is only going to ask you to tell me whether you are developing certain 21st century skills in these tasks. The next is this. And this is what actually blew me away when I presented this to my children, and I thought they would never, ever get the content behind it. But they proved me wrong. They said they really got the indifference curves. If I use full screen, then I won't be able to see the chat box. So that's why I'm not using the full screen. Was to shift my screen, I need to keep it like that. So I'll explain the task. Okay, let me put it on full screen and then I'll come back. Yeah. What the task is saying is you break the class into groups and ask the class to analyze all the diagrams that they are. What do they see happening in the diagrams? But they can then choose anyone when they have to report to the class. They can choose any diagram that they are comfortable with to explain what is happening. And the purpose behind is that you want them to learn about the properties of indifference curves. So they can use mathematical reasoning, they can use verbal reasoning if they want, but the diagrammatic reasoning is already been given. So they need to explain that. So if this is the task that you have designed for the children in the classroom, what skills would you be developing for them? I'm going to go back to my chat to see what you're saying. Hello, Hina. Savita talks about analytical and critical thinking. Okay. I wish I could engage with you to understand why you're saying critical thinking. I would love to know from Nidhi why you're saying creative thinking, but unfortunately, I'm not sure if you can. Nidhi, can I request you to tell me why did you talk about creative thinking? The way they're going to express in terms of the
Ma'am, why is critical thinking? Ma'am, here the child will be able to reason out correctly that why this property is downward sloping or why it's rising towards the right gives you the maximum satisfaction. So that I will use the reasoning to explain it effectively. This is as per my understanding, ma'am.
Very good. So you are developing critical thinking. Yes, and because you are not giving it to them straightforward, on a platter. They have to analyze, they have to deconstruct what that diagram means to be able to reach the conclusion that you want. Learning by doing, ma'am, is not something that is a skill. It is not a skill. It's not a 21st century skill. Absolutely, because when they come up and present what they're doing is something that will be a 21st century skill. The moment you do group work, what does it lead to?
Collaboration.
Correct. So there is collaboration happening, and in that you have to take it a step forward. Just by creating groups doesn't mean that the children are going to collaborate. Maybe you need to go around and see how those groups are made. Then the next question is going to be, how do you group the children? Are you going to have, same ability children? Are you going to have mixed ability children? Are you going to have diverse interests children together so that there's diversity in thought and opinion? So that we leave to the teachers to see, in a particular setting, you may want similar abilities. In a particular setting, you may want different, diverse, children to come together. But that is how they develop the collaborative skills. So that's another piece. Very good. So you've looked at this. Now look at the next task. And my colleagues from Sanskriti as well as from Millennium will see that this is something that I have always been passionate about in terms of be an examiner. What if you were to give the children individually a worksheet, which talks about giving them the questions as well as the answers. And you ask them to mark the questions to see if they are right, the answers are right or wrong. What would happen? What skills? Now remember, I asked you to take a photograph of the 21st century skills as we have learned from OECD. Which of those skills will actually get strengthened by this task, like I prefer to call it? I'm going back to my web page to see. Knowledge and understanding. Yes, of course, content. Critical thinking, absolutely. Self-direction, critical thinking and reasoning. So I am going to ask Rhythm Dadiala, whoever signed in with that name, to please explain your thinking as to why you've written those 3 skills.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Self-direction is they're looking for their answers themselves. They're directing themselves as to what could be the answer of it. Like they'll be choosing why of it. So when we are choosing why, it involves critical thinking as well.
Correct.
And when they're choosing the right option, that means they need to have a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be reasoning it as to which answer is correct and why they are putting it there. So they are giving themselves direction, plus they are thinking, plus they have to have a reason for that.
Super. So you're also then teaching them to become independent learners.
Yes,
Right.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing your views. So
Thank
let's
you,
go to the next slide now, and let's look at what this task is asking the children to do. It's asking the students to find an article, whether it's online or whether it's a hard copy article that they can find, and which will demonstrate the concept of market equilibrium. And you can create the task in any way, and then you can put questions to it. I've just said, and they should analyze the article to see if there are any changes in the equilibrium price and why these changes have occurred. And then they need to share the article, the gist of the article and findings with their group. So if this is the task that you have designed for the children, then which 21st century skills are you developing and continuing to teach market equilibrium, which is part of our course curriculum? I'm going flipping back to check. Priyanka, creative learning, building creativity is a skill. Naitik, I'm going to request you to explain your answer, please, which is ICT, media, collaboration, and communication. I love what you've written. So could I request you, please, to explain why you have written those so many 21st century skills for that task? Naitik? Naitik, are you there? Okay. Let's
Yeah,
look at someone.
Can you
Sure,
say
Monica. Please, Monica.
Ma'am, I think ICT, media, collaboration and communication, here the child will use different communication range, and he will be self-motivated there, and he's going to use the technology effectively and assess the impact of that. What will be its impact?
Correct. So, we are looking at the fact that you're asking them to sift through newspaper articles to read, whether it's online, digital, or whether it is on hard copy. You are bringing in that media literacy, you're bringing in the ICT literacy for the children. And then, and you are asking them to explain that to the classroom or to their group and explain why they have chosen that article to meet the concept of market equilibrium. So unless they don't know the concept of market equilibrium, they will not be able to actually find the relevant newspaper article. So it also talks about thinking critically and then collaborating and communicating. So thank you for sharing your views, Monica. Thank you for that. Let's move on to the next task. And this really is something that we use from Harvard's Project Zero, which is making thinking visible. What if you were to start a class with just this and ask the children to, how would you use this and why would you use this? And the routine is called See, Think, and Wonder. So I'm going to ask.
Ma'am, like we do a question answer session in class, we pose a question and we pounce to the student and they keep on pondering for that.
Okay.
Think and pair activity that we say generally.
Yeah, that's think, pair, and share, which we come to. Okay. If Suruchi is here, Suruchi, would you like to talk about See, Think, Wonder?
Good afternoon, ma'am. We can use this as a starter of the class.
Thank you, Vrinda. And how would you use this as a starter?
As a brainstorming session, we can pose this question so that they can respond. So they will be more active at the beginning of the class.
Absolutely. So therefore, you're providing them with the hook and you're asking them to actually deconstruct, again, a media piece. So you're building media literacy in them, and then they need to communicate. So, that's how it would work in the See, Think, Wonder stories. All right, let's look at another one, something that somebody has spoken about, which is the Think, Pair, Share. How does this work to build 21st century skills? A Think, Pair, Share strategy.
Ma'am, again?
Monica, can I request someone else to come in now, please?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Somebody else who would like to explain how
Ma'am, can I speak?
Yes,
This
please,
is Ruchi
Ruchi.
Bhai. Sorry, my mic was not working that time. In Think, Pair and Share, we basically, try to inculcate a lot of collaboration in the class,
Mhm.
because when we say see, think, and wonder, it is something which is an individual task. But the moment we say, think, pair, and share, then the partner and finally the group comes into the play, and so it inculcates more of communication and collaboration.
Okay, so the sharing and the pairing is collaborative and this. What about the thinking part? Where skill are we developing when we're looking at thinking?
Ma'am, in thinking, we are basically trying to make them an individual learner, and they are trying to develop an analytical skill throughout the task, because even if they are listening to others, they are analyzing, evaluating, and the final outcome is going to be creative, because they will come out with a solution for whatever question they have been asked for. So it's a combination of all, and it's more towards the higher order thinking.
Thank you for sharing your views, Ruchi. Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
Thank you.
just to add on to that,
Sure.
I think the flexibility and adaptability life skill also gets developed here, because you are being open to the opinion of your partner, and that would help you transform maybe your thought process.
yes, absolutely, Rupali. You're right, because you are also making children, and that comes in your life skill development of being open-minded. So if you remember the three buckets, the skill of being open-minded, the skill of being active listening, and like Supriya is talking about problem solving. So you can even solve problems, because that's where you've posed a question for them to come up with some solution. So you can also use it for problem solving methods. And like Ruchita has just put in, divergent thinking skills can come in when we use these strategies. So great. Thank you for all of you for sharing that. Let's move to the next one. If the task, and I'm going to just put it on full screen for you to write. Again, you're giving them a menu to choose, or you have given various options. Supposing we've done the entire micro, and then we decide to talk about this concept of production and consumption of meat is unethical. And they could either conduct a debate, or you could do a group discussion and ask them to write an essay, or you could make a group presentation, or you could write an individual essay on the topic. You've given them choice. But if you were to use any one of this tasks, and I'm going to ask each one to look at and choose one different aspect of the 4 choices I have given, and tell me and tell the group as to which 21st century skills are being developed for you in this. Any takers? Okay, so communication skills, Priyanka, thank you. Cross-cultural skills, yes, because you need to understand in which socio-economic groups it is unethical or not ethical. Brilliant. When you make a group presentation, we are collaborating, correct? In a debate, there's communication and creativity in a debate. You also are developing leadership skills, okay? I will absolutely take that. So, Priya, will you explain leadership and responsibility, please?
Yeah, Ambika. When you're doing a debate, you're being responsible for what you're saying. You cannot just say something off the record. So whatever you say has to have a sufficient research backed with whatever you're saying. And leadership, because debate is being done in a team or a group. So if you are taking or you're giving out a response, then you're taking ownership for what you're saying. So you're not also letting down your team members. So those are the skills I feel.
Okay, great. I'm going to take from what you said, Supriya, a little bit. And when you talk about research, see, you're building the media and the literacy skills there, the media literacy skills there. And when we talk about responsibility and leadership, if you go back to our slide, that become the life skills that we want our children to learn. And someone talked about, you know, the socio-economic, cultural sensitivity that we want our children to actually have to be able to debate on that topic. And that is building the values. So the value piece can come in. Is it ethical to eat meat or is it unethical to eat meat? So again, we are bringing in that sensitivity for our children. So thanks for sharing that. And I just have a couple of more slides. I'm just not going to, I will just share these because I think now we've got the idea. You could also do a case study where I've taken something from the newspaper and, you know, which is quite relevant and recent. And, you know, you could have ask the children to make questions and they could engage in a discussion on this to see how you can use this with your micro course. Something that economics always looks at is graphs, and you could ask the children to develop a storyline as to what they are looking at. And again, if you look at the graph, you would be building, depending on whether you make them do it individually or whether you make them do it in a collaborative mode, we could develop collaborative skills, we could develop communication skills, we could develop their media literacy, ICT skills using this particular graph analysis task. Okay, I'm going to now request everyone, because many of us, you know, and our children actually don't like assessment. But for me personally, assessment is really a very, very critical tool and effort as a teacher to be able to feed forward into my lesson. So if I can request everybody, and I'm sure many of you use Socrative, I absolutely love that.
Ambika, I'm sorry for the interruption. Just a moment. Now it's been 50 minutes. I also wanted participants to see whether can we continue or what do you think about because this session is for 4 to like 4:30. So
I'll finish in 2 minutes and then we will open it to the participants. This is the last I want to show them.
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead.
And if you type into that and you use the code that I'm putting in, and what I want to show, and if you can do that very, you know, just for some of us to enter and do this. Correct. So I'm going to hide the names. If you can just attempt maybe 2 questions, even the idea being to demonstrate how assessment can become fun. So if you project this into your classroom, the children, if you show names, then they know exactly who's got what. So I prefer not to show any names because I use this as a tool to actually see whether the children have learned enough. I'll give you 1 minute, and if you can just randomly put in some answers, it doesn't mean that you have to be correct or wrong, just to demonstrate the tool for some of us who don't know the tool. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and see, can you see as a teacher, this is very rich data for me on the concept that I have. So I can see that if this is question number 1, 75% of my children and students have got it right. So I can deep dive, but this third question, only 56% have got it correct. And here only 40% have got it correct. So maybe I need to revisit those questions and those concepts. I could also go a little bit deeper into that question. And we can look, 12 out of 27 children only answered the question. Is it because it's too tough or they didn't get enough time? And then I can see what percentage of children have actually got it correct, how many have got it wrong, and if there's an explanation, they could see it here. But if there is no explanation, the classroom could engage in a discussion which will help them to understand the concept more. So again, you build in assessment as a collaborative tool, you build in assessment as a fun element, a non-threatening element that will help them to actually learn. So that was something that I wanted to just share with you as to how we use the assessment structure in the thing. Just a quick recap of whatever we've done and what have been my thoughts, which I wanted to present to you, that if we start designing lessons, keeping the skills and competencies that we want our children to develop, we need to then create tasks that will match that skill, and the underlying basis is going to be the content that we want them to learn of economics. We implement the task in our classrooms, and through assessing our students, we can feed forward into the next classroom. So that's pretty much that I wanted to share with all of you this afternoon. And these are really this is my journey as a teacher of economics for the last 20 years.
Thank you, Ambika, for this wonderful presentation. Rather me saying wonderful, it is the participants who have to share your comments. And if there are any questions that you have, please, you can write in the chat box, or if you are really feel really excited to speak, please be brief and just think about what you would like to share in this forum, so that we can take it this kind of seminars further. Is there anybody? I've
also just put in the link for the feedback. So if you can please click that link and complete the feedback, please.
Sure, sure.
Srinivasan, it would be nice to hear the participants sharing their examples that they do in class also, because that's
so
how
we have about 20 minutes now, 17 minutes now. And I'll be very happy if anybody comes forward to speak with the examples, which you are now you are being triggered now. It's not simply that you have been listening to this nearly 1 hour, so you have been triggered with the 21st century skills. I was thinking that the chat box is only meant for hi, how are you? But Ambika Gulati has made it that it's really very tough to work with the chat box. It's an exciting tool. We can work with children also. I'm sure that some of you must be would like to share with at least 1 or 2 examples of from economics, how you integrate 21st century skills. You must be doing it in the past. You must be doing it now also. Please come forward. One of you, one by one. Yeah. Yes, anybody? You can raise your hand and come.
May I come in, ma'am? Monica again.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Ma'am, we started with the blended learning, where with our text we blended Kahoot quizzes in our classes. And it was quite an effective tool where students were engrossed, and it was fun learning also, and the concept clarity was also there. So Flipgrid and Edpuzzles. So that was the blended learning that we are doing right now in our school.
Thank you, Monica Kapoor. Yeah, anybody else?
Yeah, this is Rupali Arora from Sanskriti School. And just to add on, because really thankful to Ms. Ambika Gulati for doing such a great session, because we have worked with her, and we are always admiring all the strategies that she has been sharing over so many years. And under her leadership only, I must say that at Sanskriti we are continuing the legacy, and we are introducing a whole lot of new strategies on a daily basis in our classrooms. For building these 21st century skills for enhancing collaboration, we are using tools like Jamboard in Google Apps, and for bringing gamification element and keeping our classes more exciting, whether in a physical setup or even in this pandemic situation, even in an online setup, we bring in a lot of Kahoots and quizzes, and that keeps the excitement level high, and we continue discussing core concepts in economics through that. And yes, of course, I totally agree with Ambika ma'am that assessment is really essential. And for that, we use two strategies at Sanskriti School. One is using Google Forms for enhancing, your multiple choice questions. And we also use Rubric in Google Classroom and conduct our assessments through that.
Thank you, Rupali Arora. And is there anybody who would like to share one example from economics? Yeah, we have been listening to many tools that are available. So now you become almost like a auto mechanic with a lot of toolbox to teach economics. Any other person, any other colleagues would like to share, any other participants? Yeah, you can just unmute and you can just come out and speak something.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
This is Mr. Chalaya Punraj from JSS International School.
Okay.
It's a very good session, sir. What ma'am has discussed, we have been using almost the Kahoot or this one quizzes, and especially the ma'am discussed about the flipped class. So that is very useful. Actually, we are giving the children the chance for make the they prepare on their own, and then they will come and discuss. This is very, 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 very important for this 21st century to teach and learn economics.
Okay. Thank you, Chalayaji. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah.
Can I
example? Yeah,
yes.
please.
Ambika here mentioned, gave a lot of importance to the criteria of assessment, which is also something I would like to stress upon. Other than having our teaching and then the assessment based on what we have taught, it should be done in a backward manner. The assessment should be planned and the teaching should be done on the basis of what we plan to assess. So it is the paper, it is the outcomes to be decided before the lesson is planned and before the lesson is imparted to the children. So just putting it in a little simpler manner.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Yeah. Any other examples? Any other anybody would like to share your thoughts? Okay. Final word from Ambika. Would like to say something like Ambika ji?
So thank you. I would like to just say thank you to NCERT and to you, Professor Srinivasan, for this, giving me the opportunity, like I said, to share my own journey and to share my own experiences.
It's not yet ended. We have just started actually. Only few words, few tips we have got. So we have got a very few tips actually. We are going to trouble you with my own economics fraternity again. Yeah.
I think what the pandemic has also done is that we don't need to be physically present and take a flight to come to Delhi. We can now engage with each other virtually and and save lots of cost by doing so. So really, and I'm going to write my email address, which is, I'm just putting it here. Many of you know it already. It's ambikagulati@gmail.com. And that's my personal email ID. So please reach out to me if I can be of assistance to anybody. And thank you to everybody who has spared this. I know it's a weekend starting in India. And for Mr. Chalaya, who is here in Dubai, it is the weekend. Friday is our day off. So really thankful that you have spared time to come and listen and engage this evening.
On behalf
Thank you.
of,
Thank you so much.
on behalf of Millennium School and then NCRT and my colleagues, thank you very much. And we'll come back with the second webinar very soon. Thank you very much for participating in the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
May I come in, ma'am?
Thank
Monica,
you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, can I interact for a moment?
Yes, absolutely. Srinivasan, may I request you to stop recording and we can turn off the live session also, please? Yes, Monica, please.
Ma'am, initially when our school started on virtual mode, initially I was finding it very difficult for differential learning and blended learning. So I started surfing on the net and I got your document related to that, where you have shared everything and how we can use for Indian economic development, the movie clips and all. It's a very old document and it helped me a lot, ma'am. And I've planned a lot of activities with the help of that material that I've started from net. So it is a wonderful document, ma'am.
Thank you. That was done with NCRT again.
Yes, ma'am. It is an old document, but it helped a lot in differential learning where we were able to segregate the students and do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you for appreciating.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful session.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Chalaya.
Could you kindly share your email ID, email address?
I already shared. It's ambikagulati@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, could you please? Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Got it.
May I request everyone to log out, please?
Hello, Ambika. Yeah. Can you hear? Your voice is, I'll just.
Switch off the recording and the live, please.
So I have to record. Switch off karna, but will it save automatically?
Yes, it will save automatically.
Okay. Record. Stop recording.